I was thinking this weekend that this country is based on an abusive relationship. I feel like we the people are in an abusive relationship, but that the country was founded with abuse at the center, meaning that, many of us are defending things much the way people in abusive relationships that they defend. But, in an abusive relationship, the abuser cuts you off from your family, from your sources of power, diminishes you, tells you you're not crap, nobody's going to want you, makes you feel less than, even though they're in a relationship with you because they need you. And I was like, Black people are in an abusive relationship in this country. It's like it
It
feels.
is. No, that is incredibly accurate. I'll double down with you and give you one other. Black people have been socialized to accept American violence. Like American violence is a very unique type of violence, and violence itself is embedded in America's DNA. It's embedded in America's DNA and its DNA code in such a way that it expresses itself in our lives very differently. Political violence, physical violence, economic violence, environmental violence. These are all different forms of violence in America that are a part of its DNA that we literally from birth are socialized into. And so when we're socialized into it, to your point about the abusive relationship, not only is it something that we come to accept, but the scars, the pain, the cycle of it is something that is like literally second nature to us because of how embedded it is in America's DNA and then where we show up in that process. So you would be 100% correct, but I also think that it says as much about our condition in America as it does America itself.
Listen, I brought it up because most people stay in abusive relationships. Most people defend their abusers. 866-801-8255. Let me tap in somebody because I feel like we need an order of protection. We need some legal mind. I feel like we need a legal strategy around how we protect ourselves. This woman has been going hard in the paint, and it's been amazing to watch. If you live in Texas and you don't know her, get your life. If you live in this country and you don't know her, please get your life. Texas is 30th district. I got a lot of questions about Texas. Let me welcome to the show the great Representative Jasmine Crockett is here. Hello.
Hey Karen, how are you?
I am awesome. Thank you for coming.
Karen, this is one of the few times I get to talk to Congresswoman Crockett when we're not on TV. So this is like really good for me because whenever I'm guest hosting, I always request her as a guest. And so, but we never get to have extended conversations. So I'm super excited to be guest hosting with you today.
Well, thank you. Listen, this conversation I'm looking forward to. I want to first understand how St. Louis, right? St. Louis,
Right.
the Lou. How
That's
does
right.
a woman from the Lou, home of Nelly, Don Calloway, and others, and Jasmine Crockett, end up in Texas? What was that journey?
Listen, again, it's great to be with you as well as Charles. And I never thought I would end up in Texas, honey. And Texas is trying to exit the United States right now. So I may end up coming back up north. Who knows? But I went there for law school. So I got a full ride to attend law school at Texas Southern University. So I started at Thurgood Marshall, and then I ended up transferring and finishing at University of Houston. And after that, Texas just had a hold on me. So I moved around a little bit, but I'm happy that I called Dallas home, and I'm happy to rep Dallas in the United States Congress. I'm repping in a little bit of a different way than Texas is maybe seen before. But I think that I'm meeting the moment that we're in right now and making sure that I'm pushing back against the ridiculous, hypocritical, I ain't even gonna say hypocritical, the liars in Congress. Like literally just calling them out.
Well, let me say, Texas is one of my favorite states. It has some of the most amazing human beings, some of the best food, some of the best everything. It is the home of Juneteenth. It was the last place that enslaved Black people learned that they were free. It has been a battleground for us in many ways. It has the largest gathering of Black people any place. Mississippi has the largest per capita. Texas has the largest numbers. It is one of the most diverse states. That it is going through this moment right now, it flies in the face, and it's a slap in the face to all of the beautiful people in Texas. They don't deserve this governor, and they don't deserve everything that is happening. So they need you to stay there, to stand in the gap, which you have been doing brilliantly. I wanted to ask this question, as you know, people have a pejorative name for Governor Abbott. I won't use it on the airwaves, even though I'm thinking it right now. 13 other governors came and descended as Texas is, I guess, establishing that it has the right to supersede the federal government in handling. So I wanted to ask this question to both of you, because I hear Black folk, because I'm on these airwaves, call in. And for a lot of people in this country who are Black, the migrants, the immigrants coming in, that's a problem, whether it's Californians, Arizonans, Texans. What is the pain point for us with the millions of folk who are descending upon this country? What is the actual problem that we need to solve?
Yeah. Okay. So a couple of things. I'll talk specifically about the Black folk and the concern. I think what we're seeing is that you're seeing the federal government, the state governments, the local governments that are visibly pouring money into the migrant crisis. And so Black folk are like, well, wait a minute now y'all ain't gave us no reparations. Y'all always like messing us up. We can't get none, but people that weren't born here, not to mention Black folk was dragged over here, but that's a whole other issue. Like, we didn't immigrate, right? Like, they brought us over here, like they captured us, they killed us, they raped us. So like Black people, like, I don't know, make it make sense to me, right? And it's because they can actually see the money. The problem is that the United States government is consistently giving out money that is for the benefit of Black folks.
So family, you see, this is why I say Jasmine Hunter is all talk. And not just her, but I'm stepping on her neck, because this is what, it's not white people, it's not any other race of people, it's not any other group of people. It's our Black elected officials who will get into power, like Jasmine Crockett, who's I'm in Texas, she's a Texas congressman. She'll get in office and she will talk loud, she will, say some things that sound good, and Black people will rally behind her the same way we did Barack Obama. And when you try to get a straight answer, when you try to get, a clear-cut answer as to why you're not getting what you're getting as far as Black people are concerned, here she comes with the word salad and the games. Now watch how she tries to pivot, just like any politician. See, when we vote our people in, we're hoping that they're going to at least stand up and say certain keywords like reparations, white supremacy, and things like that. But let's see how she operates. It is pretty much just like all of them.
Specifically. So I know, as a member of the House, I have handed down so many checks, millions of dollars, to my district on environmental injustice issues, right? Because we typically live in the areas where our air, our water, our soil is contaminated, because we have been a dumping ground for so long. And literally, we have homes that are killing us because when we walk outside, there's somebody that's polluting us. And so I am trying to do my part, but because you're not getting a check directly into your hand, or because it's not.
Yes, ma'am, because we're not getting a check directly in our hands, but the Jews are getting a check directly in their hands. The LGBT community, they're getting a check directly in their hand. Latino, any other race and nation of people, they're getting a check directly in their hand. So now she's trying to downplay us by saying, because we're not getting, we feel in some type of way. And now she's going to go on to say, well, it's not that easy. But yes, it is. They're giving billions of dollars by writing checks to Israel right now. Let's see about some of her other excuses that she's about to come up with, like a true politician.
Not as well publicized. Black folk are like, we're not getting anything. And it's just not true that you're not getting anything. But also, I think what we're
No, ma'am. No, we're not talking about whatever you might be doing in Houston. As a collective, as a nation of people, we're not getting anything. Don't sit up here and lie and say we're getting something. And most of you politicians, black, won't even use the word reparations. It's to the point now we don't care about any other agenda. We don't care about anybody else's agenda. All we want is what we want, and we deserve that. We deserve it because we've held the cape for everybody else, and the truth is Barack Obama was the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm gonna use that analogy. That we put that brother in, we gave him 90% of our vote, and he did everything for the LGBT community, which is a community that we don't even really, as a black, most of us are conservatives. We don't identify with 2 men and 2 women, but he went and broke his back to do whatever he could for them. And when it came to us, it was always what you're doing right now, which is giving black people excuses. So, ma'am, you and anybody like you, just because you're black, go ahead. We will elect you, but we will get rid of you if you're not talking reparations, if you're not talking white supremacy, if you're not talking black first, then what are you here for? What do we need you here for if you're not gonna talk and be about black first? Because the Jew is Jew first. We know the Jew is Jew first. The Asian first. The Chinese first. The white man, we know how they get down. So why is it that all of our representatives, our elected representatives, are coming with "we are all the world, we are all one"? There's no more of that. We are now delineating. Let's watch her make more excuses.
We're not doing a good thing about, as far as like the conversation around it, is we're not discussing that this is a matter of saving money, right? Like it can't be. So for instance, I just saw your head turn. So for instance, when we're trying to deal with whether or not we're going to send foreign aid out, black people are like, why y'all sending money across the world? Y'all need to keep that money here. Not recognizing that our money and our dollar goes so much further somewhere else. If we
listen to what she said, she's trying to play us stupid. She just said black people don't realize that our money going somewhere else helps benefit. That's what I'm saying about the politics. It doesn't even make sense for her to even say that. But see, they think black people are stupid. They think black people are supposed to just keep marching. You know what I'm saying? They think black people are just gonna, you know what I'm saying, because she's black and because she says some nice things. Now, if you're not trying to put things in policy, ma'am, we don't want to hear anything you got to say about the white man and Congress. And no, the excuses are over. Either you're going to talk the grassroots talk, which is reparations, white supremacy, cut us our check, or we don't need you. And it's really as simple as that.
If we were to send our money to Haiti or Honduras or anywhere, it would actually go so much further because the dollar is so strong. In addition to the fact that maybe we can stabilize those areas and keep those people from coming here, because by the time they come here, it is going to cost us more money. But even when we're spending the money, what we need people to understand is that we've been on a birth decline for a minute in the United States. And so if we're going to keep this economy.
You see how she starts to talk about birth. What does birth decline have? Birth decline has nothing to do with cutting a check, writing a check, reparations. It has. That's why I said Jasmine Hunter all talk reparations. What does birth decline have to do with anything concerning reparations, ma'am? This is why I'm going to stay on your neck.
Going, immigration actually helps us out. But it's not a matter of these people coming over and laying up. We need to make sure that they're working and they're paying.
She literally, now you heard it. She literally said immigration helps us out. How? See, that's what I'm saying. She thinks we're stupid. She thinks we're lame. She thinks that she can pretty much, she's really doing the playbook of white people, white Democrats. You know what I'm saying? The liberals, they will tell us a lot of word salad. They'll tell us something that sounds good because they think we're not listening. You know what I'm saying? And we've been listening. Now we're just rejecting it. Now we're saying, you know what, screw that, you're a lie, and we can't trust you. And she's the same way. She can't be trusted.
Taxes.
I was talking with
hold
on, Charles. I was talking with your colleague, Ali Velshi, who comes on the show frequently, and he's from Toronto. And he talked about how Toronto was a dead zone. And then they opened their borders and literally built one of the most cosmopolitan cities on the planet through immigration, through a willful plan of how I was watching another study, not a study, a news report. There was a dairy farmer who needs immigrants, but we only allow people to come in seasonally. But there's like whole farm industries. I hate to even say farm industries, but yes, that need workers that we aren't necessarily providing. There's a negative job. There's a lot of jobs available that we can't fill. Go ahead, Charles. I'm sorry. I just wanted to underscore.
No, so I think the Congresswoman laid out beautifully the many layers to this conversation about immigration and how it functions. A lot of it is misinformation or a lack of understanding. Let's start there. But I think that at the end of the day, at its core, we're talking about a conversation about the illusion of competing narratives and the illusion of scarcity. If we were in a space where we could have an honest dialogue, just from a very like basic ground level, granular perspective, it seems to be very problematic for a number of Black people in America that we cannot get started a conversation about reparations.
Brother, that's because of Congress people like Jasmine Crockett. It's frustrating because we can't even talk about reparations, because when we do, our Black elected officials like Jasmine Crockett, this young woman right here, she uses the same playbook, which is benign neglect. You know what I'm saying? Don't tell Black people, don't promise Black people anything. And it's our own elected officials that's upholding this system of doing things as it pertains to Black people. That's why, look, she looked away when he said that.
But in the same breath, it takes very little to make the decision to send literally hundreds of millions of dollars outside of America, or to give immigrants who are coming into the country cash money. And we can't even get started with a study about reparations as if someone said Voldemort or Beetlejuice 8 times. Like, it's not something that people will even entertain. And I think that for Black people in America who have been catching hell literally since we've been in America, that is a very hard pill to swallow. So that is like partially number one. I think also, as you've seen and this is very, very, very relevant in sanctuary cities like Chicago and New York City, or so-called sanctuary cities, as you see these particular spaces become increasingly less inhabitable for working class Black people, where they cannot have places to live, they're having trouble finding accommodations, they are not having jobs that are keeping up with the wages, are not keeping up with the cost of living in these cities. And then you find migrants who are coming into the city, and it seems like there is a priority given to at least solving the problem or addressing the problem. It is a slap in the face, because you have come to us cycle after cycle, asking for our vote, asking for our support, telling us that we're a priority, telling us that our votes matter. And then when the rubber meets the road, what we are seeing is that you're not investing in addressing the issues that we've always had. But there's this new group of folks, this shiny new girlfriend, if you will, who comes into town, and now all of a sudden,
look how Jasmine Crockett is looking. She's shaking her head because she knows that this brother is talking about how she and her party operates, the Democrats. She's shaking her head like, yeah, just hurry up. Yeah.
they're the priority. And Black folk, in a lot of ways, part of it is misinformation, part of it is a lack of understanding, have a certain feeling about that. And that's an
But
issue.
I think Charles Coleman Jr. is here. Representative Jasmine Crockett from the great state of Texas is here as well. I think Representative Crockett pointed out we have a poor. When I say we, there's a poor communication. There's poor communication going on. Like information is not getting out. Every time I hear somebody say they're not voting until a check is cut, I say to myself, I say to them, how does the check get cut? What's the process by which we get reparations? It's an act of Congress.
Okay, ma'am, it's an act of Congress, but it also is an act of our elected officials. So yes, so what got us to the point where Black people are saying, listen, cut the check. What we're saying is we're frustrated. We're tired of marching. We're tired of integration. We're tired of fighting, and everybody else is eating off of our backs. And now you still, because like I reiterate, Barack Obama was the straw that broke the camel's back with us Black folks. That's why we're having to delineate foundational Black Americans, because, you know, Africans, everybody has taken part in our pie and we have not even been left nothing. So now we're saying to our not white people, we can't even go talk to the system before until we talk to our elected officials. That's why we vote you there. You represent us. You're supposed to speak on our behalf. But if you're not going to do that, then we're just going to have to get rid of you. Isn't that what the Jews do? AIPAC, ADL, isn't that what they do? They understand if you're not going to do what we want you to do, the Jews do not put people in a position to help other people, but the Jews. So what are we talking about? And we should be the same way.
No president, by the time it gets to the president's desk. So even civically, we are not at the level to have this conversation. Well, let me ask you, Representative Crockett, how do we begin to engage? Because there's been a bill that has never made it out of the House to study reparations. What do we need to do to make the study of reparations federally happen?
Yeah, I don't know, Karen.
Okay, so listen, she just out of her own mouth, and she's not being facetious. She's serious. She don't know. You know what I'm saying? She don't even know. The woman asked her, what do we need to do to get a study of reparations, which we don't need, just cut the check. She's talking about, I don't know. She don't know. She's just there holding a position. She's from a sorority. You know what I'm saying? She's in a position of power, and that's her life. That's her husband. Her husband is her career. Her career is pseudo fake helping her own people. She's not doing it. That's why I put Jasmine Hunter all talk, because that's what she is. She's all talk. But you have Black people who will, you know, give her a high five and parade her around like she's really doing something just because she, you know, made the white girl look bad on you know what I'm saying, on Congress floor. That doesn't mean anything to Black people, because you can put a white woman in check. We don't need you to put a white woman in check. We need you to cut the check.
You know, like I can sit here and I could politic with you all day, right? But there has to be a will. And I'm going to be honest, like Charles stated it absolutely correctly. You know, it is an act of Congress. And granted, there's a lot of acts that we need to finish, right? Like we still don't have repro rights. Like there's a lot of things that need to be done. We still don't have, listen, you talking about reparations, we can't get voting rights right now. Like that's taking it like back to what we was already supposed to have. Like we can't.
You see how she just diverted that, and then she lied. She talking about, well, let's put reparations over here. We can't even get voting. So what do you mean voting rights? Why are Democrats trying to play us like we some suckers? Where in America is it that Black people cannot vote, ma'am? What do you mean when you say we can't get voting rights? No, you're talking about, you know what I'm saying, different districts and voting. That's something that's state to state. You got to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of reparations, you know what I'm saying, keep that on the forefront, because if you ask most Black people, when we put our elected officials like you in position, we're putting you in positions to make sure we get a check cut, just like the Jews get, just like, you know what I'm saying, the gay boys get and the gay girls. They get a check. And they haven't suffered, they haven't bled, they haven't been raped, they haven't been taken from their native land, they haven't been, you know what I'm saying, you know, whipped because of reading. What are you talking about? The things that we've went through, you're telling me that the most important isn't money? Tell the Jews that. Tell the Jews that, because they getting their money.
Can't get a reauthorization of the Voting Rights Act. And so, you know, for the most part, some of this stuff gets through the House when you at least have a Democratic House. But until we do something about this filibuster, until we reach the 60-person threshold on the Senate side, I think a lot of these things are really dead on arrival. Just like the Republicans in the House have said, basically, nope, we not going.
She's talking dead on arrival. Ma'am, Jasmine Crockett, it doesn't stop you from at least getting on, like you're on this platform. It doesn't stop you from getting on platforms, you know, and basically saying, hey, reparations is my #1 agenda. See, I want to see a Black elected official say to the Black community who you're supposed to be speaking, but see, that's the problem. They're trying to speak for everybody. We don't need Black people who are in elected officials in a position to speak for everybody. What do we need? Nobody's speaking for us. We need you to just hone it in and speak for us. And now, once we get good, then you can speak for everybody else. But until then, if you can't champion reparations, then what do we need you for? What are you here for? You're a waste of time. Get out of the way.
Go on the border deal. That's usually where we end up having things stall out, is because of this Jim Crow era filibuster that is really blocking a lot of our progress in this country.
Now she wants to blame Jim Crow. She wants to blame the white man, but the white man is okay. So it was a white man. Explain this, Jasmine Crockett. In California, it was a white man who put the reparations bill up on the floor in California a few months ago, and it was the Black Caucus, you know what I'm saying, your people, my, you know, Democrats, who said no, you know what I'm saying, we're going to kill it, we're not going to send it up. So that was the white man's fault? No, ma'am, we're not stupid. We know that a lot of y'all are in position to keep Black people either down or make sure they don't come up. We're not blaming white men in 2025. We're blaming you because it's on you.
But, you know, what's frustrating is that becomes the brand. The brand then is tied down to, say, a democratically controlled Senate. And the next thing you know, people are saying, well, y'all had control of everything and y'all ain't do nothing. And it's like, yeah, we did do stuff. Did we do enough? Probably not. But again, from a civic standpoint, we just don't have the 60-person thresholds. Should DC have statehood to help us out with that? Absolutely, right? Like, there's a lot of things that we could do, but we can't get DC no statehood either, for one of the very same reasons is this.
Okay, she's saying this, but they had no problems rolling out all of the things that they rolled out for the illegal immigrants. They came, they bust, they sheltered these people with no issues whatsoever. So while they were able to do that, and while they were doing that in Chicago, Letitia James, Brandon Johnson in Chicago, Mayor Adams in New York, while they were doing this, focusing on illegal immigrants, you mean to tell me you could not have focused on Black people? See, when you, Jasmine Hunter, when you was rolling in and busting in all of these illegal immigrants, you were doing that, and it wasn't the white man's fault. The white man was nowhere in sight. You could do what you want to do. But now when Black people are talking about reparations, all of a sudden it's Jim Crow. No, ma'am, it's not Jim Crow. It's you Negroes who are in position who will align themselves with anybody and help anybody but your own. You people are Benedict Arnolds. That's what you are. And we're going to keep our feet on your necks, because once again, you're all talk.
This blockade that we have a lot of times in the Senate. And I don't know that if the Republicans get control of the Senate, that they won't get rid of the filibuster. Something tells me to get their draconian agenda across, they will do any and everything.
But Congressman Crockett, like, on a certain level, I think that part of the reason why people are disaffected with the politics of Washington is, if you are someone who considers yourself to be a centrist or a common sense person or a pragmatist or someone on the left. So I'm going from center all the way left. It can oftentimes feel like finger pointing between two sides who are playing a different game. So for decades, we have seen Democrats operate in both the House and the Senate as though there is some sort of moral high ground to be won, whereas Republicans are willing to do whatever it takes to get things done. And at the end of the day, there are competing ideologies. Well, is it more important to get things done, or is it more important how you get things done? And I think a lot of Americans are simply tired of the finger pointing between the two parties and say, oh, well, they're willing to get rid of the filibuster. Well, if that's what it takes, Chuck Schumer. So I think that well, it is. And I'm right here in the great state of New York. But I think that like there is a danger in Democrats sort of continuing to point the finger at Republicans, like about how they do things, because at the end of the day, they doing things.
Yeah.
And when I say they're doing things, whether it's passing legislation or obstructing legislation, they're figuring it out.
He's exactly right. See, Jasmine Crockett and all the Democrats, they want to have an excuse. But them white boys, you know what I'm saying, them Republicans, they doing what they got to do for their people. They're billionaires. So what he's saying is don't try and point the finger, you know what I'm saying, because when they're in the House, they're making things happen. So Jasmine Crockett, you know what I'm saying, Democrats, what's the excuse for Black people and us not having reparations when we saw what you were able to do with the illegals and for the illegal immigrants? See, they expect us to go. We went generation after generation after generation dealing and giving them chance after chance after chance with these silly excuses. And now it's kind of like, well, not kind of, now it's basically, listen, no more excuses. Either you're going to execute or you're going to get the boot. As simple as that.
So either you are going to complain to the refs, which in this case, the refs are the electorate. And if the refs, don't call it, or the refs don't do what they're going to do, then you got to learn how to roll up your sleeves and get dirty with them and beat them at that game. And it feels like Democrats are afraid to do that. And they think somehow that this moral high ground in politics, which does not exist, by the way, is going to sort of make them or exalt them as the party of people's choice. And that's not how this works.
I mean, you preaching to the choir. I don't know why you're getting on the meat. You talking to the wrong person.
No, ma'am, he's talking to the right person because he's talking exactly about you, because you're the one who's in an office and elected. You're operating in an office where you're not doing anything for Black people. You might be, you say you're doing something for people in Houston or the Houstonians. Okay, well, that's up for, we got to check your resume. But in terms of when you hit the Congress floor, when you hit the floor, you're not saying anything that Black people who elected you want you to say, which is reparations. That should be, listen, reparations should be every Black elected official's #1 priority. Hands down, no questions asked. If as a Black elected official, if reparations is not, hands down, your #1 goal, you are null and void. We don't need you. We want our money. We deserve our money. The Jews are getting their money. They're getting money and free education. You got more Black people. You know how much debt we have over here in this system? If nothing else, they could at least give us free education. Do you not know that to go to visit a slave plantation as a Black man and Black woman, you got to pay? You mean to tell me to go see where my ancestors are buried, I got to pay to get in? And you'll have Jasmine Crockett, this Black congressman from Houston, say, well, it's because of the Jim Crow era. No, ma'am, the Jim Crow era didn't have elected Black officials. Now we have it. You're one of them. Stop giving us the word salad. Do something with your position. You're in a position of power. You've done it for the gay boys. You've done it for the women you've done it for everybody but your own people. And when it comes to us now, you're going to give us excuses? Nah, if you ain't talking reparations, we don't even want to hear anything coming out of your mouth but that word. That's the first thing on the agenda, reparations, and everything else can fall up under that. Because once we get our money, everything else will fall right up under that.
Because that is not how I operate. I absolutely agree. I think that, you know, this new crop of Democrats is exactly what most of the party has been waiting on. We are consistently told this is the type of energy that we need. I think it's one reason that you do see some pushback about the president's age. I don't know if it's so much his age, because wasn't nobody pushing back about Bernie and his age. And we know that Trump is barely younger than Biden. But I think that there is this association that the younger the Democrat, maybe the feistier and the more willing the younger Democrats are to go toe to toe instead of just sitting there. But you got to understand, like, I don't plan on checking out in the next 5 to 10 years. Like, God willing, like, I'm gonna be here. So it's certain things I just can't deal with. Like, we need to.
No, ma'am, it's not about you checking out. We hope you live, you know what I'm saying, a long life. But the plan is, in your long life, it may not be a long life of politics if you're not talking our talk, because we'll get you up out of here. You know what I'm saying? We'll see you, we'll make videos, and we will ensure that if you're not talking reparations, then you don't speak for us. And it'll be just that simple. The Jewish man is not going to get up and talk something other than what's going to be beneficial to the Jews. So why is it that Black people have a tendency to believe that we're supposed to get up and talk about trying to heal everybody else's situation, and we're the ones? Sonia Massey got shot in her face. She's a Black woman. Robert Brooks, you just saw what they did to him, handcuffed. This is happening not to everybody, only a specific group of people. And when our people get in positions of power, you mean to tell me what? You just want to try and help everybody? No.
Acknowledge climate change. We need to make sure that women are going to have access to repro rights. We need to make sure that my Black butt can still head to the polls and vote for myself. Because if it's up to them, I won't be able to. So, like, I mean, that's the energy.
Is climate change a winning issue, though? Like, let's be real. Like,
yeah, no, it is.
Yeah,
it is for the younger generation.
Yeah.
You see, she's talking climate change. She's talking about voting rights. She's not going to discuss and or talk anything concerning money.
Yes, it is, Charles. I'm sorry. Yeah. It is. Because we need to breathe. Everybody needs to breathe. We need to breathe and to live.
I don't disagree. I just think that I think that for a number of Black voters, if you were to ask them what their top 5 issues and priorities are, climate change is not going to appear in 1, 2, or 3, and it probably won't be 4. Maybe 5.
They may not use the word climate change, but they will absolutely talk about environmental injustice.
She said they may not use the word climate change, but they are absolutely talking about environmental injustice. See, this is word salad. She'll talk about anything but reparations, anything but cutting the check. This is why people like this can't be trusted.
Just had a whole crop of people in my office wanting me to do some stuff just this past week. And I mean, literally, it's this.
She said she had a whole crop of people in her office wanting her to do some stuff. A whole group of who? Black people? See, that's the thing. What are you? Tell me that you had a whole group of Black people in your office. Will you even allow a whole group of Black people to come in your office? Inquiring minds want to know. So don't give me that a whole group of people, see, that's the thing. Black people, we're not focused on a whole group. That's why we're not focused on Gaza. Palestinians and Arabs, they don't cut for us. When they come over here and open up shop, open up these stores, they don't cut for us. They don't like us. But though, you know what I'm saying, now that they're catching hell over there, you know what I'm saying, they want somebody to, like everybody else who starts to catch hell. They want Black people to intervene and help and speak up and say something. But nobody's doing it for us. I don't see other people championing or saying anything on behalf of Black people about us getting reparations. I don't see anybody saying that. Who do you know in America or anywhere around the world who's saying to black people, hey, give them reparations. But if you try and say it's something about cutting the Jews off, the first people who you're gonna have to deal with is the white Christian Catholic. They're gonna say they're God's chosen people. We can't stop sending them billions. But we can't listen, we can't stop sending them billions for something that happened over there, you know what I'm saying, in Germany, the Holocaust. But those same white Christians, when it comes to reparations over here concerning black people and what happened in this land, they'll say, well, that happened long ago. And this black woman who's a politician, who's in a position of power, will say, well, I've had a group of people come over here and do what? What group of people are telling you to give your people, help your people get reparations? None. But she's caping for them. These are the traitors amongst us, black folks.
Cement plants, it's the shingle plants, it's all of these plants that they're living around, and they are being hit with medical bills that they can't afford, whether it's the kids having asthma or whether it's the cancer. They are very concerned. If we're not talking about like the very upper black folk that aren't necessarily living in these environments, but if we're talking about the black and brown communities that haven't been able to.
Once again, she talks about the black and brown communities. What's up with that? The black and brown, there is no black and brown, Jasmine.
To kind of move out of these environments, these are really big issues for them. They may not call it climate change. They just talk about the environmental.
You came back and you're here, you won. For you now, what was the biggest surprise? And then how do we bust through the blockades and the filibusters and all of the ways in which Congress doesn't function to help us? What can we, the people, do to help you get things done?
Yeah, so I feel like when it comes to elected officials, there's like a select group, and people always say, you know, they going out and they cherry picking and they got their own people, instead of the people being the ones that are actually elevating their public servants. And so it's important, number one, that we educate, because one thing that I think we've all hit on is kind of like this civics and the misinformation and the disinformation, and just not fully understanding the process and how we play a role in that process. One of the things that I've been pushing back on and telling everybody that I can tell is that the power belongs to the people. And I need the people to start flexing their power. It's not a matter of I'm a queen sitting up here.
So she's telling black people to flex their power. Okay, ma'am, black people who elected you, they're telling you to flex your power. You're the one in power, ma'am. You've got the power because we put you there. Now flex it. But she's telling us to flex our power.
Here is the Congresswoman. I work for the people of Texas 30, regardless of how many people know my name. It's only one group of people that can elevate me and send me to DC. And I never lose sight of that. And I think that every single person that is listening right now needs to understand that they got a lot of people on their payroll. The payroll is the taxes that they pay every single day, whether it's a sales tax, an income tax, a property tax for their car, whatever it is. Power and flex that power, and think that it's as problematic for. So I think student loan debt is something that we can do. I also think that we can continue to invest in our communities. Right now, they're trying to roll back pretty much.
Family, I'm gonna stop it right there. As you can see, no talk of reparations on her behalf. The brother said reparations, but of course, Jasmine Crockett didn't say anything concerning reparations. You know what I'm saying? That's not her. That's not, when black people get in a position of power, that's just not their thing. They're playing by a particular playbook. Simple as that. Family, you've been rocking with TWID. TWID stands for That's What I Do. Until next time,